Collect an old cable reel to add this unique feature to your backyard. Since the cable reel was mildewed, I did a light pressure wash just to remove the gungy look. I then decided to do more of a cleanup in the general area by pressure washing the garden fence to create the ultimate backdrop for my new idea. After the cable reel was completely dry, I sanded the top using a low grit sandpaper to remove any of the remaining stains. I then treated the reel with a clear water-based weather protectant that didn't add any tone to the wood. The product was painted on with a brush, then allowed to dry. An old gate was positioned behind the cable reel. A metal rake head, rusty garden tools, and some garden orbs and a little herb sign were hung along the top of the gate since I don't mind if they weather further. Another old rake head was screwed on the side of the cable reel using a pipe clamp. I then threaded some twine through some hand garden tools, then hung them up on the rake so they would be better protected from the weather. Reaching for some root-bound herbs I had on hand, I removed a few and transplanted them into terracotta pots. The size of the reel table was perfect for this task and cleaned up easily thanks to the added protection on the wood. I then positioned an oversized pot beside the reel and filled it with a container of soil, covering it with a wood round. A collection of clay pots was placed along the bottom of the reel that acted like a covered shelf. Next up, the garden bed beside the reel needed some work, so I cut a fresh curvy edge with a half-moon edger, fluffed up the soil, then transplanted some herbs I had just received from a generous neighbor. A milking container was filled with water, then positioned with some rocks and wood nearby so wildlife would have easier access to it. Using a small container with fresh water makes frequent dumping and refilling easy to help keep mosquitoes at bay. And now I have the most charming cable reel potting bench in the land. Themed with herbs, it gives this little garden area charm and whimsy, plus a handy table to set things on and actually use. If you're debating on planting some herbs this summer, consider a few slightly larger tin cans from your recycle bin, with a twist. I am choosing to add this feature to a garden bed that is in need of a fresh look, so I removed all the rusty junk off the garden fence to prepare the space for my new idea. It's a good idea to choose a slightly shady spot so the cans don't dry out quite as quickly. Since every tin can came from coffee with colorful labels that happened to chime in perfectly with my flowers and cold frame in my flower bed, I decided to embrace the labels as is for a true upcycled vibe. All the tin cans are being flipped upside down. My plan had been to drill holes into the bottom of the cans, but after the bit slipped, I remembered I should make a dent in the cans first with a hammer and nail. That just ended up being easier, so I punched holes in the bottoms of the tins with a thick number 10 nail and hammer. I then placed the back side of each tin on a piece of scrap wood, then hammered in a nail hole I will use to hang the cans from. Next up, I gathered a bunch of rocks from my yard, then poured them inside the cans until the bottoms were well covered. This will help with drainage. To prepare the herbs, I am cutting the plant label away from the compost pot, then removing the pot bottom while loosening the roots a little. Reaching for some soil suitable for container planting, each tin bottom is being filled with soil. Now I'm inserting the plant and adding filler soil around the edges, taking care to leave some space for watering. Gathering all the herb cans near the fence, I'm inserting a screw through the back hole from the inside of the can, then using a drill to screw it in place while holding the can against the fence. I'm hanging each can, rotating size and color so the arrangement looks well thought out. Now that all the cans are hung, I'm selecting a gentle spray to water each can until it's well soaked, checking the drain holes to make sure they function well. And since the labels match the blue and green cans, I'm deciding to embrace them as is as well. To further personalize the area, I'm stenciling a small garden sign to theme up the space. Reaching for a herb stencil from Funky Junk's Old Sign Stencils, the stencil is being positioned over a piece of reclaimed wood, then stenciled in Fusion's Coal Black. Some thin twine is being cut and wrapped on each side of the sign for a little added rustic interest. And the end result is a super sweet herb garden wall that smells as good as it is cheerful in appearance. I love the dance of the vibrant colors of the can labels. It's unexpected while adding so much interest to this little garden area. You'll want to be on the lookout for an old vintage window when you see how charming and helpful this garden idea turned out. Heading to my storage shed, I'm selecting 8 cedar planks that measure longer than both the window width and depth. I'm now placing 4 boards around the window to determine the finished box size I'm about to build. I'm measuring the width of the window from left to right and the depth from front to back according to the angle chosen. Since my planks are smaller, I'm stacking 2 for each of the 4 sides. So I'm cutting 4 longer width planks and 4 shorter depth planks. To join the planks to the support boards, I'm stacking 2 planks, then positioning a support board on the left and right side underneath, then attaching with screws. Now that the box is built, I'm positioning it in the desired flower bed location. Reaching for 2 heavy-duty old gate hinges, I'm positioning them onto the window frame along the top back, then pre-drilling holes into each hinge hole before attaching with screws. Now I'm positioning the window on top of the box. Using the 2x4 to hold the window in place, I'm attaching the hinges to the fence with screws. And I am left with a super cool and useful cold frame that looks as good as it works. This will be the ultimate spot to protect and help a few tender plants get a head start. With an added hook and chain, I can also position the window at any height. You'll want to head to the Home Depot for a large tomato cage and the Dollar Tree for 3-wire planter baskets when you see how cool this summer hack turned out. Now I'm preparing all 3-wire baskets to fit inside the tomato cage at the bottom and the 2 upper rings. The very top wires of the tomato cage can be cut off, however I'm going for something a little more decorative. I'm pinching wire cutters around the base of the top wire, then gently bending the wire towards the floor. Now I'm moving the bent wire to the left, slipping it into the next section of the cage, then tucking the end in so it stays in place. To get a full-grown look right away, I am using 3 hanging flower baskets and removing their basket hooks. The basket of flowers is being placed into a wire basket with the clips attached. Then I'm positioning them both on top of a tall, slim stool. I'm using a plant pot to raise the level of the flower basket so it reaches the 3rd ring, then clipping the wire basket to the cage. Next, I'm picking up the tomato cage and gently placing it over top of the bottom flower basket with a gentle rotation so the flowers don't break. I'm placing a wire basket into the top of the tomato cage, then using zip ties to attach them together. Now I'm placing flowers in the very top basket to complete the look, which results in a gorgeous, full-grown looking 3-tiered flower stand, offering loads of height and a fabulous punch of color. I just love how the black tomato cage and the flower baskets offset the vivid red and green, making quite an eye-catching display. While this flower stand looks right at home beside my garden shed, I love that you have the ability to display it anywhere you wish.